It's June 30. It's Friday. I've been out of pocket, as you say, for too long. But I'm not out of pocket anymore. You can hear epidemic sound, royalty-free elevator music. Actually, it's a lot nicer than that. Which, so when I take a breath, you can hear a little something in the background. It's coming right through this little port right here. So my soundboard right here, it's green. The wire is green. I got red, yellow, blue. Blue's over here. We can do blue. Hello. Hello. I don't even know if I can. All right, never mind with blue. You gotta turn the microphone on for blue. I don't wanna. Oh, what the heck? There's a little switch right here. Whoops. Just pull that up right there. I got one of those fancy batteries on there. Hello. Nice. Is it working? Whoops. There it is. Hello. This is Mr. Sennheiser. It is very sensitive. Get that up to about 33. There we go. How's that? Yeah, that's it. It's extremely directional. I can, yeah. You can hear that. It's crazy sensitive. But this one here, let's turn this guy off. There we go. He's off. I got more equipment than Heinz got pickles. Anyway, it's June 30. It's Friday. We're getting ready for a 3-day weekend. I have to transfer funds. Get this thing out to pay rent, which I'll do. Gotta pay the rent. In this crazy real estate market, rent is probably the best way to go. Assuming your landlord doesn't stick it to you. Oh boy. So the most exciting thing that's my doctor, PhD, Carly Cooksey. There she is. See that? My prescriber, Carly Cooksey. She's a nice young lady. I don't know how old she is. I'm going to say under 40. And I had this chest thing, Seems like every 3 or 4 months, I end up with this, chest thing. Because, I need an inhaler. I have an inhaler right here. You've probably seen one of these albuterol, this one looks like it's about out. But, it's got one of these things. And it plugs right in there. And, that one's about out. I have others. Not exactly right in my view right now, but you know what? Yeah. I mean, this is like, you don't go anywhere without your inhaler. No mind, this is this is running out also. I have others, but because Carly Cooksey prescribed for me doxycycline hydrochloride, 100 milligram caps twice a day. That's all it takes, twice a day. Prednisone, 20 milligrams, twice a day. 14 of them, 7 days. Carly Cooksey, there she is. You can't see twice a day for 7 days. Take one capsule by mouth twice a day for 7 days. Well, guess what? In 2 days, everything's like clear. The other 5 days is just, rope-a-dope. Just knock it out. Well, guess what? I mean, my lungs are clear. I feel this is like, like last week. Now I'm into this week. I think I visited her. Yeah, I visited her Monday. Follow-up visit. She says, how you doing? I said, I'm fixed. Thank you very much. What else you want to talk about? So we talked about, what we can do to make my situation last more than every 4 months. I got to go run to this stuff. But you know what? I don't care. If I had to take this, whenever this reappears, for 7 days, and it fixes it, I don't have to run into the hospital with, acute bronchitis and all that, because that's what happens next if I didn't do this. So she's a super duper registered nurse with prescribing capabilities. And she also has a PhD. She got more degrees than Heinz got pickles. But she's accessible. You can talk to her. You have a problem, so you can just slip right in there in her schedule. It's marvelous, And anyway, so there's Marilyn's doctor. So she said, Jimmy, you really need to go meet Dr. Cooksey. So I did. She's marvelous. I agree. Thank you very much. So that's my little story on rehabilitating. When you get 103, you gotta go where it works. So I have a number of articles here. I mean, I usually, they would just hit reasons. There we go. Get out of that. Look at this, 82,000. Can you see this? 82,458 photos, 254 videos. I don't know what those videos are, but they're probably good. So the big news. I just saw a little thing where Elon Musk was talking to the CEO of EEI. And EEI is a transmission system of electrical engineers. Electrical Engineers, Institute. It's a big group. So they don't produce the power, and they don't sell the power. They transmit. They're the wires. They do all the wires. They wire the country. So the wires are theirs. The energy generation equipment is somebody else's, public company or whatever. And then you got the customer. So you got wires, big fat wires, little skinny wires. The transmission system goes all over the United States. And you have FPNL, Florida Power Line, and you have now they're generating equipment. They have generators. They have nuclear generators. They have coal-powered generators, generally in Florida. We have a few nuclear. We should have more. No one's broken ground on a nuclear generator in too long a time, which is terrible because, we should have, it's sustainable, it's safe. There have been accidents. Had a tsunami in Japan. Of course, that loused up one of their nuclear thingies. And 3 Mile Island, whatever caused that, system to overheat because the systems and backup systems, whatever. And there's all kinds of books written on the topic, and shows, and whether it was like intentional, someone sabotaged, turn off, not leak, not oil one of the pumps. I mean, so it's huge equipment, and God, well, we haven't built any. I mean, we got all this rocket engineering. Elon Musk, he needs to get in the nuclear power generating equipment business because he can attract the best engineers in the world, and they can get it done, and have the teams for the permitting and teams for the design and teams for the teams. If you wait for municipal governments to do it, it ain't never going to happen. And we're running out of electricity. And with all this electrification stuff, here we go, look at this. Electrification. Volkswagen confirms talks with Tesla over the North American standard, NACS. So that's the plug. That's the plug on my car right there. But, you grab the handle, then you plug it into your car, and it charges. Now this is the part that goes in the car. They screw it in and the wire and all that kind of stuff. These two big thingies is the high voltage, 500 volts, 800 volts, 300 volts, AC, DC. System inside, uses it. If AC current is coming in there, there are chargers, AC current chargers in the car that can take up to 48 amps at 230 volts, 11.7 kilowatts. That's what can go through that puppy right there. I think it's good actually up to 14.8 kilowatts. Anyway, so that's what goes in the car. That's what's mounted in the car, which Volkswagen now is going to do it. Ford's going to do it. General Motors is going to do it. Since Volkswagen is going to do it, Porsche is going to do it. That whole consortium of cars is going to, look at this simple plug. You see the jackass plug that these Europeans came up with? I mean, it's the size of like 2 fists. You gotta, you don't have this standard, you don't have that standard. Well, let's just sort of take a little bit of each and put it together. This is all you need. So you got, the DC power or AC power. The system will figure out how to, what to use. And to see these other things, 1, 2, 3, those are control wires that tell the system, turn up the power, turn down the power, up to the 11.7 kilowatt, the battery starts getting full, it'll cut back on the power that comes in the plug. So you don't have huge power on a battery that's almost completely charged. So all that stuff is, with control circuits that are in the car. And then also through this wire is your credit card information, which is already logged into the car. And let's see, can I show it? Let me show you. Let's see, I have here's a Tesla thing right here. All right, we're not going to do that. So, up. I'm going to give you, let's do this. Let me put me in the corner. Yeah. All right. I'm coming. I'm my own production guy. Bingo. There we go. So now I'm down here in this corner, but you can now see big screen on this part. And let's see if I can touch the king. There you go. See? This is all part of the Tesla app. Charge your non-Tesla. Account. See account. Here, order history. So this goes through and says, okay, you bought this stuff. No, that's different kind of orders. Charging. Let's look at charging. History. So these are the supercharging situations. Recent charging sessions. How was your charging experience? So we can go here and see. Marvelous. Yeah. 5 stars. Submit. There we go. So we're telling, that just went to Fremont, California. Bam. I mean, these guys are like crazy. So here, supercharging, Boca Raton, Florida, June 27th, $12. And so we put in 30 kilowatts at 0.41 cents per kilowatt hour. And I did 30 of them. 4 times 3 is 12. That's how you get the $12. So here's every one of them. Let's see, the same thing, 41, yep. So here we put in 54 kilowatts. All right, so here's all my charging experiences with superchargers. And it automatically gets paid because, no, I don't want to do that. We want to, we actually, so 3747, it's a debit card, it's my account. In the actual app here, let's just take a look. You know, you have debit cards that you have fraud, and then they issue a new card and all that stuff, and then you plug in, and your stupid supercharger won't start up because it says, So we're going to go to Tesla, and we're going to hit this little king up here, and we're going to go to account, and we're going to go to charging, manage payments. Come on, baby. 3747. God damn it. I thought I had it set for. The actual checking account. No, maybe that comes up. No, that's it. All right. Well, so now I we were trying to figure out what happened because it wouldn't take a charge. It wouldn't work. And then I called a 1-800 number or something or other. Tesla helped me. And they helped me out. And they told me that you touch this thing up in the upper right corner and you go to account and you deal with that. So that's how we did. So I can see right here. Boing, boing, boing. There you go. Oops, let's go back one more. 13,950. There you go. See, 13,950. Can you imagine? That's our miles in a year and a half. It's not a lot of miles, but it's 13,950. Let's get my calculator out here. Do a little 13,950 divided by 24. It's 2 years. 581 miles, per month. Times 7,000 miles, 6,975 miles a year. 6,900. It's not a lot of miles. It's low. We have a lease that says 10,000 miles. I could do a lease at 8,000 miles. Drop the payment. They don't have one. They don't have such a thing. All right, let's get out of here. So, So that's my plug. The big thing is everyone's taking on Tesla. Tesla has allowed its entire system to be used by every other electric car manufacturer that wants it. How do you say no? I mean, really. So here's a guy. Look, he's got his Volkswagen. Here's this Electrify America. You see the E, Electrify America. This is Charger number 4. Ultra fast, up to 15 kilowatts, 150 kilowatts, sorry. So that's, Tesla superchargers are like 250 kilowatts. So anyway, this is, everybody doesn't live in a situation where they can plug into their own house thing. There are plugs where you can plug it into your dryer plug and then plug your, and it'll pull out 6 kilowatts out of your circuit that runs your electric dryer, if you have an electric dryer. But people have a gas dryer. Well, then how are you going to plug in your car? You can put it into the circuit, pay an electrician $600 to put a 50 amp, 230 volt circuit in there, and then you'll have an 11.7 kilowatt. So in 6 hours, your car is charged. You plug it in, 6 hours later, you get home at 5 o'clock at night. By 11 o'clock, 6 by 11, your car is fully charged. You got a full tank of gas or electric. So, Elon Musk admitted on this video broadcast I just watched early this morning, and he basically said, he says, I did the morally right thing by allowing essentially everyone else that wants to, allowing everyone else to use our chargers. And that was the big advantage that Tesla had over everybody else, because we have the largest charging network in the United States. So, sorry, little squeaky wheels there. So, he says, it's the morally right thing to do. He said it's probably counterintuitive to, Tesla, as a car manufacturer, because we have this incredible network, which, took us, 8 years to build, 7 years, whatever. Lots of years. You drive right in, you plug it in, 20 minutes later, you got your fuel reserve is now 80%, or, a couple hundred miles worth of range. Now, if you have a charging situation, in your garage, of course, every night you top it off, and every time you leave the garage, you have a full tank of gas or electric. It's quite a convenient, but everyone doesn't have that. Tesla's, got to wake up to the fact that everybody doesn't have a nice little garage setup. Now, we live in a multifamily, with a parking garage, and I share a plug with Dr. Brian, first name Brian, and I wrote him a letter. He lives literally 2 apartments down from me. So I wrote him a nice letter. I had my Tesla up, like a letterhead thing. And I said, please, can I borrow your plug when you're not using it? And guess what? He said, yeah. Just go down to Ann, the property manager, and make sure Ann's okay with it. If Ann's okay with it, I'm okay with it. It's my plug, but she provides the power. I said, well, that gets complicated. He said, it's not complicated. They were trying to figure out it, and they said, the hell with it, just plug it in, don't worry about it. So I share. And it's pretty nice, because now he goes to work. He's a, doctor. And, he leaves at 9:30, and he gets home at 6:30. So if I get back at 10, driving Marilyn to work, and driving to Brendan to work, and stop by the pharmacy and whatever. Um, you know, um, I'll come back at 10:30 and the spot's open. So Wednesday is his early day, which means he gets home at 5 instead of 6:30. So, but every other day, during the day, you can go in, you can, get 4 or 5 hours worth of charging done while you're, upstairs doing something else. And at 4 o'clock, I got to go get back in the car and go pick people up and drive them around. So, I get, let's say from 11 to 4, I get 5 hours of charging, which is enough to fill it, pretty much fill it up. So if I can do that every other day or every 3 days, then I don't have to use the supercharger thing, which costs $10, $11, $12 to fill it up. Can you imagine? The people that are doing the gas, 60, 80, I have a SUV. Thing weighs over 5,000 pounds. It's a heavy car. It's got, a 1,500 pound battery. The whole floorboard, this thick, that thick. It's 4 or 5 inches, and their batteries all lined up in there. A bunch of, like 5,000 batteries, and they're, the size of my thumb. Crazy. They're, divided up into packs, and you add them up, and you end up with a $400 battery, or 400 volt battery. Anyway, so I'm watching the thing up here because the Supreme Court is coming out with decisions. And the court says the web designer is able to refuse LGBTQ customers. Well, of course, yeah. This web designer does work for Jimmy. And because of Jimmy, now an LGBTQ, whatever, person comes up and says, "Ha, you got to bake my cake because you baked his cake." And she says, no. And it went all the way through the courts and actually went to the Supreme Court. So that's that decision. And it's only 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:09, right? Yep, 10:10. The big decision coming down today, hopefully today, because it's the end of the quarter. And this is when all, they say all these decisions get stacked up. It's busy court is the decision on whether Bite Me Biden has the ability to waive all these college tuition charges. College student signs up, he goes to that, he goes to prep school, he goes to 2-year, whatever, 4-year, and he borrows money from the federal government at a low rate so he can go to college. Well, Biden says, you know what? Let's just, let's waive all that. Now, I'm 103 years old, okay, so I actually borrowed money. And it was a Wachovia Bank loan. I paid it for like 14 years, but I paid it off. I borrowed the money and I paid it back. I signed a note. I paid it right to the last dollar. It was like, that's going back a long time ago. It was like, I think it was like $150 a month. But $150 a month, 45 years ago, was, when you add all the inflation, all that, probably $600 a month today. So it's a serious amount of my net income because, you pay bills after tax, not before. And so this guy waives everyone's tuition bill, say, what the heck? You going to give me a refund? Yeah, I borrowed X numbers of thousands of dollars to put my own self through college. I made the payments, not mommy, daddy, me. Out of, I worked in the the food, what do you call it, cafeteria, all right? So, I mean, I'm not a bleeding heart guy here, but yeah, I worked at the cafeteria. You know what I got paid? 78 cents an hour to carry big bowls of spaghetti out to, we had family, I think they call it a family dinner, like on a Friday night. So instead of going through the cafeteria line, everyone would sit down at the table. You come in at 5 o'clock, 5:15, 6 o'clock, whatever. You had like 2 or 3 hours to, for the food service to pay you, to feed you. And you had your food card, college food card, ID card kind of thing. And they'd look at it and they'd scan it, I think. They'd shoot it with a laser thing. Even back then, I think they had such things. And, so that's how you get fed. Well, on Friday night, everyone sat down. You had big bowls of spaghetti. You got big bowls of spaghetti sauce. You got bread. They serve, the iced tea, whatever you're going to drink. And 78 cents an hour. I worked in that food, the cafeteria thingy. So I was like front of the house. I was back of the house. I do it, I moved around a little bit. I forget the dynamics of who I knew, and it wasn't a big deal to get hired by them, but they're right there. I didn't have to go anywhere. I didn't have to walk any great distances to get to my job because it was right there in the cafeteria. So I did that. I worked that for 5 years, and started at 78 cents an hour. It went up to, I think, $1.55, something like that, after 4 or 5 years. I was back there screwing with the Jell-O. You got like miles of, hundreds of square feet of Jell-O. It was like this whole tabletop. It was all Jell-O, 4 inches thick, and you move the table and everything, everything moves. I had a tenant, one lady, Joanna, she said, I don't like Jell-O, it's too nervous. Because it shakes when it's on the table. I said, oh boy. Anyway, so, peeling potatoes, these big Hobart, machines that whip up potatoes. Oh my God. Well, you have to peel the potatoes before it goes into the potato blending machine, the Hobart, big Hobart things to make the mashed potatoes. And they made them with potatoes, but you got to peel the potatoes. There's a lot of peeling. I remember sitting on a crate. I'm in the back there. I'm just peeling away. When you get used to figuring out how to do that. Anyway, 78 cents an hour to $1.50. That was paid part of my tuition. Something got waived because I did that. I figured how that worked, but now they're talking about maybe relieving everybody. The president has the ability to just waive all this payment of student debt. I have a feeling the Supreme Court's going to say, without an act of Congress, because this, waive schmave. There's no waive, because someone's got to pay the bill. So I'm going to pay for his education and my education. A little piece of it. There's something totally not right about that. So if you want to give these kids, some kind of benefit, so fine, run through Congress and get it approved. Goes through Congress, goes through the House, goes through the Senate. Then the president can, Anyway. So, that's what's coming up on the Supreme Court up here. If you can see the very top corner here. Court rules in favor of Christian web designer. We'll talk about that for a while until the Supreme Court decision comes out on the other thing, which we'll find out now in due course. So there's the plug. Here's the guy, the Volkswagen guy. He's charging up with Electrify. See it right there? Electrify America. They're big chargers. I'm telling you, you know, sooner or later. I mean, you've got all these car manufacturers now making electric cars. They're just starting. You know, next year there'll be a lot of different varieties of cars, you know, the electric, where you got a, you know, 250 to 300 mile battery. You know, battery's important. You know, it's like you got to buy a Lincoln Continental with a 7-gallon gas tank. You know, even with 150,000 gas stations in America, which it's 150 or 160,000. That's a lot of gas stations. But, you know, every corner you can drive in and you can fill up, right? Well, you still don't buy a car with a 7-gallon gas tank because there's so many gas stations around. Now, you can't fill up in your driveway. Well, that's okay. Because no one has gas in their driveway. So, you really need to have a 17-gallon gas tank. So you can drive 400 miles between fill-ups. And it's not 400 miles all at the same time. But, you know, to go back and forth to gas stations would be totally annoying if you could only have, you know, a 9-gallon gas tank. And come on. So, you know, give me a 17-gallon gas tank so I can drive 450 miles so that, you know, you never run in the gas station with nothing in the tank. You always have the bottom 10%, right? Because you're not going to go in there empty because, you know, you may end up, you know, making a calculation mistake and you run out of gas. Well, you know, you don't want to do that. Then you're walking down the street with a gallon jug. No. So there's always the bottom 10%. You just don't, you know, you just don't go there if you can possibly avoid it. And, you know, you can fill up the gas tank all the way to the very tippy top. See, now with electric, they say don't use the bottom 10% because it might damage the battery, you know. And don't charge it all the way to the top because you may damage the battery. So you're not supposed to use the top 15% and you're not supposed to use the bottom 10%. So that means 25% of your battery is really not available to you unless you know, start violating warranties, all this stuff, because you want to protect your battery because, you know, without the battery, you can't get from here to there. So you want to take care of the battery. It's like, you know, with a gasoline engine, you don't want to run it without oil. So you always make sure you have oil, you change the filter. Well, with electric battery, you can't use 25% of the battery. Not allowed to use the top 15%. You can occasionally, but routinely don't charge it past 85%. And when you run into the charging place, you should have 10% left in your battery because you don't want to run out. So that's 25%. So if you've got a 400-mile battery, it's only a 300-mile battery because you can't use 25% of the battery. You know? Now, they're working on battery chemistry, you know, the battery chemistry itself. Right now is, you know, lithium, cobalt, iron, you know. They have the cathode is, you know, there's a lot of chemical engineering going on with the cathode of the battery. You know, with the battery is this size, and they have like 1,000 of them, or the size of my finger, and they have like 5,000 of them. A lot of, you know, the Ford and, you know, the batteries are flat. It's almost like having a battery like this. It's about this wide and, you know, that thick, and they stack them all up that way. You know, Tesla It's using, basically the cylindrical battery. They why, the processes for manufacturing them are so established that Panasonic and Tesla have decided, let's just stick with, batteries that look like, C cells, D cells, but so because their equipment is, they're so used to, rolling cathodes and anodes and electrolyte material in between. So it's like it's a foot-long sandwich all rolled up in a battery. I think if you stretch it out, it's about 37 inches long and a ribbon. And you got anode, cathode, electrolyte in between. Roll it up. That's how they make the batteries. Billions of them, millions of them. The Tesla's newest battery goes for, it's about the size of a 7.5 ounce can. That's what I have. A single can here somewhere. Look at this. I can grab one. Oops. So Tesla's newest. I'm sorry for this, but it was close. But Tesla's newest battery, the 4680, they call it 4680, 46 millimeters across, 80 millimeters from top to bottom. It's almost exactly the same size as V8 juice with a 5.5 fluid ounce can. It really is about that size. No. That's the newest battery technology, the 4680. 46 millimeters in diameter, 80 millimeters. I think the batteries in my car is the 2170, 21 millimeters across and 70 millimeters high. So it's shorter than this, and it's less than half the diameter. No. I don't think the batteries will get bigger than that, but you get 1,000 of them, literally 1,000 of them in a container underneath the floorboard, sealed in a titanium thing that's vapor-proof, waterproof, shock-proof. It's a rigid. It's part of the structure of the car, actually, the battery. It's screwed in and all that kind of stuff. Connects the front part with the back part, and you got this incredible structural, they call it a structural battery. So it's kind of like this iPad is structural. You can't twist it because it's so rigid with the aluminum container that this iPad is contained in. There it is right there. iPads are marvelous. Front, back, and the cameras. What a device. I stick it on this magnetic, what you call it. You can hear it. Now it's charging. It's fully charged. Got a wire back here. You can unplug it. But as long as it's sitting here, I just leave it that way. I have another iPad here. So that's the big news, is Electrify America, which is the second largest network behind Tesla's network of chargers. So, and then you got Ford going with it, you got GM going with it. Now you have Volkswagen going with it, and because Volkswagen's going with it, you get, Porsche and a bunch of other companies that is affiliated with, Volkswagen, which Volkswagen itself isn't a serious business. So, here's a shot of Giga Texas. Apparently, they're going to pause. I think it's in July. They're going to shut down the plant in Texas. Now, remember, they're producing a car Every 30 seconds, our car comes out of the back end of that plant. Can you imagine? Let's say 40 seconds, let's say a minute. Every minute, a car is coming out of there. Jesus, 5,000 cars a week. But if you divide that up into, ship time, this and that, every minute a car is popping out of that plant. And when they turn the knobs all the way up, it'll produce two cars every minute, a car every 30 seconds. That's what they have a plant fine-tuned in China. They have a plant in China, remember? They have a plant in Germany. They have a plant in Austin, Texas, and the Fremont plant in California. Fremont, California. There are 4 plants. They're building another one in Mexico. So anyway, Giga Texas in San Antonio area is shutting down in July, beginning in July, at the beginning of July, and it's retooling itself for all the modifications that are coming into the Model Y. And I think that includes, it doesn't say here, but I'll bet you not only they have the jiggles, to things in the car, which are not listed here, I don't know what they would be, hardware HW4. That has got to be in there, which means you got all new array of 9 cameras. You got a supercomputer that is like super duper, which is 20 to 50 times stronger than the computer that's in my car right now. All the cameras are upgraded to at least 5 megapixels apiece. So from 1, they went from 1.2 megapixels to 5. That's a lot more data. That's why the computer has to be like huge. It's not bigger. It's just higher capacity stuff on the inside of the computer. And a front-facing high-definition radar. Elon said, I don't need radar. We got eyes. You got eyes. The car's got eyes. We don't need radar. Well, you do. Because when it rains real hard, you can't see. Dust, whatever, the radar cuts through that. So even in very inclement weather, you can, the radar can see, and it's going to be low. So I see underneath, the signals will reflect underneath the cars. So you can see 4 or 5 cars ahead of you, if you're stacked up. Or if you're, in an open road, but high winds and rain and snow, whatever, the radar can see through what your eyes can't see through or the cameras can't see through during inclement weather. No. Elon Musk the engineers said, hey, Elon, we got to have the radar. There's a high definition radar which we can acquire from whoever, and we're going to incorporate it, and this is what we need. Because if we don't have it, we can't do the full self-driving suite. It's got to have the radar in there. You're not doing LiDAR, but we can use the radar. So they're doing radar. And that's going to be in the hardware package for the new Y. That's going to come out of they've made some cars with it, but it's not actually part of the full suite of everything that comes out of that factory. Well, on the first week in July, they're updating all their computers and all the supply, the huge supply chain. Can you imagine? Just the furniture, the seating, the wheels. You bring, it all comes together, with a car coming out every minute. That's like, God, and this, an unbelievable vehicle. We've had all the best cars. We're fortunate. We had the 450 SL 2-door. We had the 560 SEC, which is a 4-seat 2-door coupe, which is the most expensive Benz they made. And at the time it was like $136,000. Well, I was lucky enough to, you know, be able to drive one of those. They had a 7-year, car sale thing. So you divide the payments over 7 years, and with a low interest rate. It's $400 a month. I could drive a 560 SEC. It was silver. Anyway, the 450 SL 2-seated coupe is, you can screw a hardtop on it, or it had a convertible. It's pretty snazzy car. Marilyn had one. It was gold. She'd drive around on that, and she's like, she's a stunning young lady at the time. And she'd drive around on that, and my God, you talk about turning the heads. It was fun living that part of our lives. And I was just a banker. Oh boy. Anyway, 4 kids later. And got a daughter up in Washington. She's Maryland, Washington. She should be getting back to her 3rd year in law school, so she can be a Washington lawyer. She needs to do that, because then she's got to make $400,000 or $500,000 a year, and that's what she should do. It was 10 years of that. She'll make $5 or $6 million at least. And that's what you do. You get a law degree in Washington. Robin, has a Rolodex, choke a horse. She worked on Capitol Hill. She was, she ran part of the back office for Clay Shaw, Congressman Clay Shaw. He's not with us any longer, but what a wonderful gentleman. We got her hired. Phil Motter helped get Robin introduced to Mary Kay McClure, who was like, not chief of staff, but she was the lady that basically ran everything. And she was not the chief of staff. So whatever you call that person, administrative office, she ran the show. Whereas the chief of staff handled the legal matters for Clay Shaw's office. So you had all this administration stuff, and then you had the legal part, which was like 40% of the office. So 60% was political, and 40% was actually legal stuff, where you had 4 or 5 lawyers in the back room writing legislation, which would end up in packages submitted to Congress and all this stuff. And that's all I know about that. Anyway, so Robin was trying to figure out what she's going to do with herself. Graduated from, her school in Virginia Tech, as I remember. And she was trying to figure out, what am I going to do? So I said, well, how about Congress? How about, I don't know whether she said it or I said it. I don't know. We know somebody. We know Clay Shaw. Well, it wasn't we, is Phil Motter, my banking partner. He said, oh, yeah. Robin? Oh, God. She came down one time and she met Phil Motter as a partner, no resume thing, just, hi, how are you, as, children, what I call it. And, we set up an appointment. She got an appointment with, and she was all dressed in a blue suit with a white shirt and a flag, silk. She looked like the American flag walking in there. Mary Kay says, "You're hired." What's your name? She was so stunning. It was like, and Robin took a picture of what she looked like, and I said, Robin, that outfit, bingo, you're hired. You show up like that in Washington office, you're going to be hired. I mean, goddamn it. That puts your, smart cookie. It's not like you don't have all these other talents, but you just look just so stunning. I mean, it's like a newspaper, magazine, postcard, whatever you want to call it. Clay Shaw was going to send out, a postcard when he was in Guyana. You just have the back of the card where you have the photograph. You just have Robin, going through the mail. Just take a picture of her going through the mail. And, with the red, white, and blue and the blonde hair and she's an attractive young lady. Oh, God. Mary Kay at the time, like 6 months after she's hired, and we come up and visit. And so we also visited Clay Shaw's office because that's where she worked every day. And she took a few days off to, diddle with Marilyn and I. And we go in there, and I said, "So, Miss McClure, Mary Kay McClure." I said, "Miss McClure, I hope you're pleased with Robin." She said, "Mr. Wilson, your daughter walked in here with red, white, and blue. Bam!" She was like hired. We didn't even know what her name was. Oh, God. I mean, she was kidding, of course. Because they're very picky and selective and all that. But it was kind of fun. Boy, Robin got dressed, silk scarf in the hair and the blonde and oh my God, unbelievable. So that was a fun thing to remember now. All right. So how we doing? We're about an hour into this. We're 57 minutes and 31 seconds, and we talked about Clay Shaw and all that. And we talked about Tesla's retooling their plants in July. This is July, right? First week in July. That's tomorrow. Well, tomorrow, they are retooling their plant in Texas, which makes most of the cars in the United States. You got Fremont, California. I don't know if they retooled, but this one's retooling. And if we were to get another, it would come out of Texas. They wouldn't ship it all the way from California. They're probably making Model 3s. I think the Texas plant is not only making Model Ys, but they're making a lot of Model Ys. That's the main plant for Model Ys. Y. X, Y, Z. Anything else exciting here? Here's another charging thing. Charge point. You see that as like a plus sign? Charge point. Now you can see charge point with a plus sign. They have decided to go with the Tesla NACS charging standard. Stands for North American Charging Standard. NACS. So the plug, NACS plug. That charge point, so you have all these companies are all going, here's here's the different plugs. Here's Tesla's right there. Right smack in the middle there. This is, the plus and the negative side of DC or AC. And then these three are control wires for, turning up the power, turning down the power, having to do with the battery health and all that kind of stuff when you charge. So you got this plug and you got that plug. They went with Teslas because this is crazy. I mean, you can't have three different nozzles. You got one nozzle that you fill the gas tank. Well, they're all going with the North American charging standard. That's the big news for June. Is everybody just went there, and Tesla said, it's antithetical to Tesla because we have this incredible charging network. And unquestionably, it helps sell cars. Yeah. And, we own the network. We built the network. It's take a lot of years to build that network. It's a lot of, work manufacturing those things and then, dealing with the permitting and, it's every single thing. You get the parking lot, you do the, you share the spaces with Wawa, whatever. So, you got them all over the place. The turnpikes, with you got to deal with states and, interstate commerce, It's a complicated thing to produce a bunch of gas stations. It's complicated to produce a bunch of electric stations. Well, Tesla's been working on that. We keep building cars. They keep the news comes, this and that. Then they keep producing. It's like, I think it's like 15 stations a day. New stations get started by Tesla around the country, different cities all over the country. 10 or 15 a day. New construction starts for charging stations. I mean, that's a lot of them, and they'll keep doing that. They'll keep expanding that network for 4 or 5 more years, because they keep cranking out these cars that people need to charge them somewhere, and they don't necessarily have a nice little garage they can charge it in. You need to get there. It's just like everybody else. You got to drive somewhere to go to a gas station to get gas, because people don't have fueling stations in their garage. All right, so we got this stuff regarding. Well, here's a little piece of news. What the heck? Let's talk about it. Hang on, right here. You can see this. Let me get this little guy right here. I'm gonna get it. We're gonna go away in a minute. There you go. See, so I'm down there in the lower left corner. We're gonna go in the upper right here. You see your full self-driving beta. So starting like right away, like tomorrow, probably, July 1st, they are now adding the full self-driving beta to, the autopilot suite of things that you click, on your, what do I see? Here's the car. Open, close, here's lock. And you can see the control panel is, 51 degrees is 11 o'clock, whatever. 50 miles left in his tank. And now when they download the software, everybody's going to get a lick at the full self-driving beta. And sooner or later, that's going to be alpha. Or, it's going to be, they're going to take beta away, and it's just going to be the full self-driving. And if you push that button, aha! Supreme Court blocks Biden's student debt bailout. So the Supreme Court says, you cannot waive $50 billion worth of college debt. So you can, cozy up to all these students, and then you'll get, a few extra points of staying power. Well, Supreme Court says, no, you got to go to Congress to deal with that kind of treatment to a whole class of people, which is good, because then I pay for college twice. I pay for my college education, and I also pay for his. I don't even know who he is. It's one thing to pay for my own kids' college thing, but I got to pay for some stranger, because it all adds up. You can't. There's no giving it up. If they give it up, if this income, the government gets paid every month by all these students paying off their debt. Well, that's cash flow that ends up paying bills that the government has to pay bills with. Well, if they just stop that, then my taxes go up, which means I'm paying for a piece of that education. No, you can't do that. Congress would never do that. And the president can't do it just because, let's give these people something that everyone else doesn't get. No. Nope. Not happening. $1.6 trillion in student debt he was going to waive. 37 million people would have benefited by this. Well, the Supreme Court says, no, you can't do it. You get Congress to go along with it, hey, that's fine. Then you guys can handle the economic and the political strain of that. But in the dark corners of the White House, you can't relieve 1.6 or 7 trillion dollars worth of, it'd be 400 billion a year for 30 years. You kidding me? No, not happening. Okay. I don't think that's, they save the best to last. So, you're right before lunchtime, or it's, 10:47. And the Supreme Court says, you can't do that. All right, it's 1:06. We've been on the air. It's 10:47 and 57 seconds. 58, 59, 60. We're going to go bye-bye. And we'll see you again Monday. I think we'll see. Monday? No, Monday. Probably Wednesday. The 4th of July. It's Tuesday. So, we'll take a few more days off. If I can get out on the weekend again, I'll try to just keep tuned in. You can, see me on YouTube for sure, Facebook Live. I used to be on Twitter, but they kicked me off Twitter. And I've appealed it. I don't know why they kicked me off Twitter. Come on, Elon, fix it up. All right, so, but I haven't kicked off Twitter. Used to be broadcast on that too. But, what are you going to do? All right, so you have a very nice and safe 4th of July weekend. I've asked Marilyn to research whether the Boca Hotel is going to have their, usual 4th of July display, which we can see right at our balcony. And hopefully 4th of July they'll do that. Otherwise, we got to go somewhere to watch fireworks if we are so inclined. Anyway, so listen, you all have a good weekend and be safe.